Hello, Fanwood. I'm Colleen Marr, your mayor, and I am sitting here today at the Chelsea in downtown Fanwood. And I am pleased to be joined by Mayor Al Smith of Scotch Plains and our two wonderful Grand Marshals of this year's Scotch Plains-Fanwood Memorial Day Parade. We are here to spend a little time and learn a little bit about our two Grand Marshals, Joe Morano and Joe Schott. Before we begin the interview, though, we want to share what the upcoming festivities are and activities where we will be celebrating Memorial Day. Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Marr. Yes, we will have our normal Memorial Day concert. This year it will be at Scotch Plains at the Allen Augustine Park. It'll start at 6:30, and as everybody remembers, that's always very emotional. We have readings that take place from veterans from different wars that they were in. Plus, we have the Westfield Memorial Band that will be our traditional band that plays. And then the following day, Memorial Day, we'll have two ceremonies. One will be starting in Fanwood at 9 o'clock at the library on the front steps, and there'll be a full wreath ceremony there. And then we will go at about 10:30 at the Scotch Plains Pavilion on Front Street and Park Avenue, and we will have our traditional ceremony there. The parade, if everything goes right, will kick off at 11 o'clock, and it will proceed from Scotch Plains and end at the end of Fanwood.
So, the month of May is going to really shape up to be a wonderful time for us to remember those men and women who served our country. This year, for our Memorial Day Parade, a lot of the parade route will be lined by the wonderful banners that will be going up. Over the last year, with significant help from St. Bartholomew's Church, they did a drive to actually put up the banners on the flagpoles with all the pictures of our local vets. And that has really added a lot to our community. Wouldn't you say so, Mayor?
Oh, yes. The local heroes banners are something special. If you're walking through Fanwood or Scotch Plains, just take some time to view those banners and read a little bit about the people who helped serve our nation to keep us free.
That's really great. So sitting right here to my right is Joe Morano, and sitting next to him is Joe Schott. And these are the 2019 Grand Marshals of our parade. Both these fine gentlemen served our country in World War II, and we're here today to learn a little bit more about them and how they ended up in Fanwood. So, Joe, I want to first say congratulations on being our Grand Marshal. We're really excited to have you and your family join us on the parade. Just tell me a little bit about you and where you served our country.
When the war started, I was 16 years old and still in high school. And when I heard the news about the atrocity, I said to my mother, I'm going to join. She said, no, you are not. When I graduated at 17, the same thing. I said, now can I join? No, you can. Since I am an only son, she didn't want to lose me, I guess. But I was happy to go when I was drafted. And my disappointment was I wasn't in any battles. I served in the Pacific, a year in New Guinea, and almost another year in a little island called Moritai. The only action I really was in, when the Japanese used to send a plane over to bomb us, they never hit our camp. They were so bad. Other than that, I served my time, and I was happy. One of the biggest memories I have is coming home from the Pacific. As we got into San Francisco, the ship going under the Golden Gate Bridge, you could hear a big cheer from the front, and it just carried on and on and on till the fantail. Other than that, I was happy to serve, and I'm happy to be in Fanwood. Well, we moved here in 1954, and we are here 64 years now, and
That's
I'm happy.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor Smith.
And Joe, here you go. You also served in the Navy.
That's right. And
Why don't you give us some of your experiences that you had? And, and how did you actually get into service?
I finished high school in 1941. Got a job right away at Western Electric in Kearney as an electrical tester. It was all war work going on then, and I did test items that would eventually be on ships. Pearl Harbor happened, of course, December of '41, and I had previously had to register for the draft, and as time went by, later in 1942, it looked like for sure. In fact, the man at the draft board told me, he said, "You're going to go in," and I said, "Well, Western Electric told me they're getting deferments for me because of my work." And he said, "No, you're going to go in." So I enlisted in the Navy in October 42, and went to Great Lakes Naval Training Station for 6 weeks. And then they sent us to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And then in early December 42, we were told to pack our ditty bags with a change of underwear and our toilet articles and our hammocks. And we didn't know it, but they sent us by truck to a pier in Hoboken, New Jersey. And we got on a troop ship, the SS Westerland, and we were bound for Ireland. The Navy had a naval operating base at Londonderry, Northern Ireland. So after a 16-day voyage across the North Atlantic, we got there to Scotland, and then they transferred us to a smaller ship for the trip up the River Foyle to Londonderry. I was there for a year and a half as a radio technician. My rating was radio technician. Then I had a great opportunity to come back to the States for officers training in a program called V12. Mm-hmm. I attended that, and then after that, they sent me to the University of Pennsylvania for NROTC. But by then, the war was over, and I took advantage of having enough points to be discharged. And back to Western Electric, they had to take me back since I'd been in the service. And after a few years there, I went to Bell Labs at Murray Hill, New Jersey, and met my wife, Nancy. We got married and moved to Fanwood, as Joe did, and Angie in 1954. And our 5 children grew up here and had great educations, and all are doing well in their lives.
So you're an AT&T man too. I'm an
Yep.
AT&T man.
Yeah.
No, that's really great. And as I'm listening to both Joes, what strikes me is how clear your memories are of that time, and you can remember, your experiences and how you felt and why you wanted to go. And serve your country, right? And for you, it was important to go, from what I heard.
I really wanted to go, but as I said, being an oldie son, my mother said, "No way," and that was it.
So tell me, what does it mean to be a veteran of World War II to you?
I felt I did nothing. I mean,
Well, you served your country, and you did. You served your country without hesitation.
I have been told by another Navy man, a friend of mine who was in the submarines, when you went over the water, you were all right, or something like that, But I always felt I wasn't important.
Well, I think that seems to always be the humbleness of your generation of, serving and just understanding that you did it for your country.
Mm-hmm. Joe, see more?
my brother, Raymond, I had one brother, was also Joe's age. And when Pearl Harbor happened, he was still 16. And he was so angry at Japan because of that the next month he turned 17, and my mother had to sign for him to go in at the age of 17. The day he turned 17, he went in the Navy, and he was also in the Pacific, like Joe, for 3.5 years on a Navy. They call it an oiler. It's a tanker that served the Navy ships with fuel. Now, he was, to me, he was one of my heroes. And the next hero I had was my mother. Like Joe's mother, they didn't like their boys to go away. But anyway, Ray joined in.
Our banners are called local heroes, and every one of you, whatever you did, you're one of our heroes.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You know, you guys went in, volunteered, greatest generation they call you, and you all did your job, and you all just served with honor, and you came home, and you built your families. Congratulations and thank you.
So, yeah, well, you know, and it is emotional because we love the United States of America, and we hold a special place in our hearts for those who served and didn't come home. And that is what we do on Memorial Day. We remember the boys, because they were boys, right? And the young women who served and made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. And we stop and we pause on Memorial Day on the when we do our ceremonies.
When, you know, if you could make it to the Memorial Day concert, not only do you get the patriotic music, but you do get a glimpse of various servicemen in the various wars and what they went through, and their letters that were sent home. So that's a great event. If you can be there on Sunday at 6:30, I can only highly recommend it.
So let's just spend a minute or two just talking about when you came home from the war and you found yourself in this small, great community of Fanwood. Talk to me a little bit about how you found Fanwood and the years that you spent here and professionally what you did.
When I got married, I lived in Newark for 4 years. We started to raise a family. We had a boy, and 1 year later we had a girl. And our apartment that we rented just didn't matter anymore. And for the only time ever, I saw an ad in the paper for a place called Fanwood Gardens. Never heard of it, never heard of Fanwood. So we rode out, and there were only 2 houses available in a complex. And we decided on the one, and that was in 1954. We raised 5 children here. Our kids did well in school. Not that any credit to me, because my wife was a smart one. And I just didn't want to leave the area anymore because everything is so familiar to us, you know what I mean? I have a dental and a doctor in the same building up the street that I walked to, the stores I knew, right. And we went through a lot of changes done by our mayor when we watched these buildings go up. Because when we were here, it was levels, no high buildings.
Lumber yards.
Right, the lumber yard.
Where was your house? What address did you live when you lived?
I lived on Shady Lane. 35 Shady Lane, and we had a little incident, you and I, one time. But I won't relate it now. But,
breaking news.
And not to mention neighborhood, it was wonderful. The people were all about the same age. We had our kids grew up together. We took vacations together. We met Joe and other people in Fanwood. there were 10 couples, remember, that we went out together?
That's nice.
We had a wonderful time.
So, Joe, why don't you talk a little bit about, how you found Fanwood, where you live currently, and about your experience here?
Oh, well, Nancy and I were married in 1953, and we thought for some reason, we'd like to live in Union County. And a friend of ours sold real estate, and he called me one day and said there was a house in Fanwood that was a fixer-upper. So we bought the house at 140 Farley Avenue and enjoyed that for 10 years. Meantime, while we were there, we had Nancy and I had 5 children, and that was a 3-bedroom house. So we desperately needed more room. So I saw an ad in the paper for a house at 185 Watson Road, and we bought that in 1964. And it's an old place. It used to be a carriage house, and it was converted in 1922 to a home. And we've thoroughly enjoyed that house. 5 children, all.
A lot of love.
The house was full of love. Sometimes I think a house sells for so much money, but I had the feeling that we had $1 million worth the love in that house. And I'm still there. I'm alone now, and still enjoy it, and have enjoyed Fanwood an awful lot.
And Mayor, may I say, I guess I just realized it, I spent 10 years in Fanwood at 63 Russell Road. You were not mayor then. Yes, but I love Fanwood too. Yeah. I moved there because I was working for New Jersey Bell, and my location was in Newark, and we moved specifically to Fanwood, so I only had an 8-minute walk to the train station, and then I would get off in Newark and walk to my location there. So Fanwood has always been a great place to live and to be, and as a commuter, I really enjoyed it. Now, the only problem was, Mayor, my wife fell in love with this house in Scotch Plains. We drove past it all the time. When it came on the market, she says, "That's it, we're going."
Yeah,
But
no, it's
Fanwood was great memories.
So both the borough of Fanwood and the township of Scotch Plains are really one community in so many ways. I mean, I grew up in Scotch Plains, on Deborah Court off of Cooper Road. Grew up there, love our community, and it really means so much to me and Mayor Smith for us to be a part of the Memorial Day Parade Committee and all the great events and recognition and the time to stop and thank a veteran, the time to pause and understand what the United States of America means to you. And really, I want to thank both Joe Morano and Joe Schott for taking the time and giving us a little bit of insight into their lives, their service to their country, and planting their roots in Fanwood. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you for picking me. Thank you for picking me. I'm shocked.
And Joe, we love you. You've always been a real big visible part of our community. But so thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, and thank you, Al.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you at the concert and along the parade route.